Hey, welcome back to Meet the Masons. Thank you guys for joining us again. So today it's me and little Miss Mason, River Lee. She is asleep right now, but this is the best time to get things done. I'm going to give as much details as I can with the least amount of time. I know our videos have been really long and we've had a few issues with trying to upload these things, so I'm going to try to give you as much information as possible. And I'm actually thinking about blogging so I can give you guys full details, because I just love details, but sometimes they make videos like really long. Anyway, so postpartum, if you guys have not been keeping up with us, our little daughter was due September 2nd, 2017, and she was born on September 12th, 2017. We are first-time parents. Her name is River Lee, and yeah, so first of all, I was past due. That was a whole nother situation. I kind of talked about that in my 38 to 40 pregnancy update, so that wasn't fun. But anyway, so having my baby with an unplanned C-section was a journey, to say the very least. So I will talk to you guys about the physical recovery, emotional recovery, and kind of like mental recovery as well. So physically, I did not want a C-section because I just didn't want to get cut. I've never had a surgery before, so it was just something that I wasn't interested in. But as you guys know, the cord was wrapped around her neck and she was having distress, so we had to go with the C-section, and we didn't know about the cord until after we decided to go with that. So physically recovering from a C-section was interesting. So after you have a C-section, they put a catheter in you so that when you urine or when you urinate, you pretty much don't feel it. Like, I've never had a catheter in before, so all I knew was that there was a bag of urine on the side of my bed that my nurse would come and check every so often. And yeah, so that was actually really good for me because I didn't have to get out of the bed to go use the restroom, and I enjoy having that catheter. So when they took it out the next day, I was kind of sad about it. But yeah, so having to use the restroom. So with me personally, with the C-section, I still bled, which many women do even when they have a C-section. I think because my water broke, there were a lot of, I had a little bit extra blood. I don't know, but some people say they don't bleed at all with a C-section, but for me, I did. So they gave us like hospital pads. I was supposed to bring those in with me, sorry. But anyway, so they gave us like mesh panties and hospital pads to put on, and you can change it every so often when you need it to. And so I used those for a couple days, and then I ended up using the Depends that I put in my hospital bag, and I found those to be a little bit more convenient because it was just a full panty and I could just take it on and take it off. I didn't have to worry about doing different things. But what I can say was physically trying to put on underwear was very difficult. So every time I went to the restroom, Jared had to help me, even when it was just to squatting to urinate. It was painful. I was very sore. I could barely walk, and so even lifting up my legs past a certain point was very hard for me. So every time I use the restroom, like I said, Jared would have to literally put the panties like down on the ground so that I can like step my foot in, and then he would pull them up for me. So that was that. Then when I got home, we have stairs in our home, so they told, well, it was a couple people who told me to walk up the stairs backwards. So that was very helpful for me because I didn't have to, it didn't like strain my incision or like my abdomen as much. So I walked up the stairs backwards, and every time I went up the stairs and down the stairs, Jared held my hand to help me go up there. So that was so that was, yeah, that was something. I've never had a surgery before, so needing help just to walk, to use the restroom, to do everything was very difficult for me mentally as well as physically. But yeah, it hurt. But basically, that was that. And they put me on medicine. They put me on Percocet and Motrin. And so I had to go get that prescription filled after I left the hospital. So she was born on the 12th, September 12th, 2017 at 2:42 in the morning. And we ended up leaving on my birthday, September 14th. So we kind of stayed there for 2 days roughly to recover. And in order to get my prescription filled, I had to walk into CVS to get it filled. And that emotionally, physically was the hardest thing ever. So I'm walking so slow. Never walked that slow in my life. Never needed to, whatever. So when I first got to the door, there was a gentleman who opened the door for me. But as I was walking to the counter, which was all the way in the back, the pharmacy is in the back, I got so many stares, like, why is she walking so slow? Mind you, like, my baby wasn't, in my arms so that they could see that I just had a baby. Not that they needed that, but it's like they just stared at me like, what is wrong with you? And that was hard for me. So I finally made it. Physically, it hurt. Emotionally, I've just never been that slow ever. And I know it sounds crazy, but that was hard for me. So I finally got to the counter to get the medicine. And then he was like, oh, it's not going to be done for another hour. And I'm like, oh, great. Well, then my husband will have to come back because I can't stand for another hour. So then I had to walk back to my car. And as I walked back to the car, there were more people just staring at me like, why is she walking so slow? And then when I got to the door, the people didn't even hold the door for me. And I know that sounds crazy. I always hold doors for anyone who's close by, but it's like I'm walking so slow. Clearly, something's going wrong with me. I'm in pain. And then that lady had the audacity to just look at me and just kept going. So it was difficult for me to push the door and try to go out. So that was super duper hard. And I cried as soon as I got inside of the car because I just felt so handicapped, and I felt ashamed, and it was just a lot of feelings that were going on. Anyway, other than that, so I think I bled, back to the bleeding, I probably bled for about 2 weeks, and then it started to lighten up. So when I did my 2-week update with my midwife, yeah, the blood started to ease up. Yeah. And physically, what else? It just sucks. I have a low bed. Oh, another thing is this chair is what I had to sleep in because when you're in a hospital bed, you get to be upright. But I didn't have that opportunity, so we had to have a lot of pillows in the bed, but I could not lay on my back. I couldn't lay on my side or anything. So having to feed her in the middle of the night and not get sleep, and also have to sleep in a chair, which was fairly comfortable. Physically, that was draining because when I did get some sleep, I couldn't just lay down and get comfortable, so that was hard as well. But I think that's about it as far as the physical portion of the recovery. Emotionally, this was one of the most difficult times of my life, and it just snuck up on me because I just didn't know how it was going to be postpartum. You hear some people have baby blues, some people have postpartum depression, but I just never knew what that actually looked like. So before we left, my midwife was saying that, once your breast milk comes in, you get extremely emotional, and the hormones, all these great hormones that you had before, they're pretty much gone. So you are being depleted of all those things. You have a transformation on the inside of your body. And I can attest that, yeah, once my breast milk came in, I was very, very emotional. I mean, once I left the hospital, once I had that experience walking into CVS, I was already emotional. But another thing too was that Jared's mom, who had a C-section before, I think she had 2 C-sections before, she told Jared that, there may be times when Kiara just cries and she doesn't know why, or it'll be random, or it'll be a lot of different times. So just kind of be there with her, process that with her. And I was grateful for that because I didn't know what to expect, but also I think it helped Jared to understand that, hey, I'm not crazy. I'm not being dramatic, but it's just something that you deal with. Oh yeah. So I meant to say, on that part when we was talking about me having to process my emotions, so Jared was like super great with that. During the time, anytime like I needed to get away, like there were times when there was company and I needed to cry, I would walk to the bathroom or something. He came every time and like asked me, what was going on, what are your thoughts and all these things like that, and he helped me process my emotions, and that helped me. I didn't get to another part I didn't get to say, and this isn't just like because we're Meet the Masons, but this is like legit. Jared was the best help during this time when I couldn't pick her up, when I couldn't feed her, when I couldn't go do different things. Like he was there, he was changing. I didn't change her diaper till maybe like day 4. He had been doing all of that, so I just wanted to add that part in there that I think our marriage just strengthened with us being parents, and we got to see a different aspect of one another. And it was just so helpful for me to know that I had Jared there. Like, Jared was the best help ever during this time, and it helped me through the emotional phase and trying to physically recover because I had the help there. Like every night I had the help with me. So I just wanted to add that in there. Okay, back to the regular video. So yeah, so when I tell you it's just random things would trigger me emotionally and I would just cry. So one time someone was like, "Oh, Kiara, I didn't know you had a C-section." I stepped away and I cried. I remember somebody was saying, "Oh yeah, I got a videotape of all of my children being born." Then I cried. It was just like, anytime I got alone time, I was crying because I was recovering over the fact that I didn't have the birth that I had planned, even though I was grateful that it didn't go as planned. You still have to grieve what you thought was going to happen. And so every time like she did sleep and people said, "Oh, rest when she rests." When I did and I had that quiet time alone, I just wept. I cried so much and I prayed, and I was just trying to get over the fact that, wow, this happened. I had a C-section. I have a line going across my stomach, and this is just a lot to process. So that was that. Like, just random times it would be a little frustrating, even just like sometimes breastfeeding when her latch wasn't well, or she started cluster feeding where it was like she fed and then literally 10 minutes later she was acting like she was hungry again. And to me that was like emotionally draining because I'm like, I thought I just fed you, I thought you were satisfied, and it wasn't something that was wrong with me. It was just like a baby was just cluster feeding, and I just didn't expect that, and that sent me into tears. Or just the fact that it hurt to breastfeed, that sent me into tears. So yeah, it was just a very, very emotional time. And I think now it's about week 4. I don't remember the last time I cried. So yeah, that's been good. I don't think I had postpartum depression at all. Of course, postpartum depression, if it lasts over a longer amount of time, then that's what it is. Baby blues, I'm not sure if that's what it was. I think my hormones were just trying to adjust, and everything just made me cry. So that was that. As far as breastfeeding and feeding her, breastfeeding was amazing when we were in the hospital. So she latched on immediately after birth. When after the actual surgery, they bring you to the recovery room. You stay there for an hour. It may be another name, but that's when you get to do the skin to skin, and the baby tries to latch for the first time. So that's what happened, and she latched really well. It was no problem, and she went to sleep on my chest. We did skin to skin. It was great. And then over the next couple days in the hospital, it's like her latch was really aggressive, and I'm like, okay, can I bring the lactation consultant in here? And so they helped me, and they were really helpful, but my nipples hurt really, really bad. So every time she had to feed, I was just like, mentally, I had to get my mind prepared for the pain that was going to happen while she fed. And I'm like, surely it shouldn't hurt like this. And so she showed me different ways on how to position her, what to look for, how to latch her on to my nipple, and all those different things. So when I got home, it was still hard. and I woke up one day and I was like pretty much engorged. My breasts were really heavy and I was like, I need relief. So my breast pump came, my electric one came sometime while I was in the hospital. So it was at our doorstep and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try to pump and let's see how this goes. So I pumped. My breast felt so relieved. Like I felt like a new person. I was just so happy. Like I wasn't grumpy. She had milk to drink from a bottle. I got some rest from my nipples and I was happy. So pumping was amazing. So ever since then, I would kind of like breastfeed here and there and then pump here and there, but because it was just like all over the place, I couldn't really develop a routine, which you can't really develop a routine with a newborn, but it was hard to establish something, some kind of normalcy in my day. So we decided to pump a little bit more. So Jared had suggested that maybe you should pump every 3 hours, just that so that you won't be frustrated when you're feeding and all those different things. So I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to breastfeed. I want to gain that connection. I didn't really want to pump as much. But then one day I just tried it. I was like, okay, I'm going to pump every 3 hours. And there was always a bottle ready for her. Granted, we had to clean the pump things every time we pumped the bottle. Look at Jared.
And this way, while she's tired in the middle of the night, I can feed the baby and she can stay asleep.
Of course, you know, wouldn't be a Meet the Maces video without Jared sneaking in here somewhere. So, yeah, that was another added benefit that Jared could also feed at night. But as you become more consistent in pumping, even when she's eating, like, you still need to pump. So it's like, you know, I still needed to get up to pump. But it provided such a relief to me physically. And yeah, so now I'm not exclusively pumping, but just about. So I pump probably about every 3 to 4 hours, and I still allow her to breastfeed. I'm trying to let her do it probably like 2 to 3 times a week. I know that sounds crazy, but now when she latches on, it feels so much better. But I know that if she continues on throughout the day, that it may hurt again. And for me, when I was breastfeeding, it got to a point where it hurt so bad. It's like I didn't want to feed her because it hurt so much physically for me to do it. And she's like screaming because she's trying to latch on properly. I'm on the verge of tears, or sometimes I did cry because I wanted her to latch on. But then I was like apprehensive because I'm like, as soon as she latches on, it's going to hurt. So it was just so much. So now pumping has been definitely a great option for us because I want her to have as much breast milk as possible. But I can say that breastfeeding is not for the faint at heart. So any person who makes it a day, you know, breastfeeding, makes it a week past breastfeeding, I commend them, or pumping or what have you, because it's a job in itself. So, hey baby. Hey. So where were we? Anyway, so pumping and giving her bottles have been easier for her and easier for me. Granted, I don't really like pump. Like, I pump and it's convenient, but it's not always fun having to wake up in the middle of the night to pump or to be in a routine. And you feel like, you know, when your breasts get full. So I feel that at times. Well, a lot of times all throughout the day, my breast's getting full, and then, you know, I have to pump wherever I am, which is at home. But having a 2-story home, having to have what you need upstairs and downstairs is so important. Because in the middle of the night, we ended up starting to sleep downstairs, which all of our bedrooms are upstairs, but we started to sleep downstairs because the kitchen is downstairs and it's easier to clean bottles and all those different things. So it's just really interesting when you incorporate that aspect. But I think right now in my life it's a little bit easier versus waking up and having her feed and breastfeed with me for who knows how long. At least I know that, okay, this feeding is going to be 20 minutes when she has this bottle, and she sleeps longer because of course she's getting probably more milk a little bit quicker. So, excuse me if y'all see my cleavage. You still asleep, mama. Anyway, so that has been that. Other than that, let's see. I think transitioning to being a parent has been new. Like, my life is completely different now. My days look completely different now. My nights look completely different now. Sleep is completely different now. And yeah, I don't I don't really know how to explain it, but it's just different, and I'm grateful for it, you know. So life, yeah, it just looks completely different, and it's like, okay, I just have to adjust to that. And I am one who is kind of like, I like change, but I like change on my terms, and I'm not quick to change. So having a baby and kind of being on their terms is very interesting for me, to say the least. And I just have to adjust to the fact that, okay, it's not on my schedule and my time plot, because that's just kind of how I am. I like, anyone who knows me knows, like, I like to do stuff on my own terms. So it's different, and that's just parenthood. And so I'm adjusting to that. I'm not upset about it, but it is an adjustment, and I'm entitled to have whatever feelings I have about it, you know what I mean? And not feel guilty about, hey, this kind of frustrates me that I have to do life this way, or this frustrates me that I wasn't able to do this or that. That's pretty much my postpartum update. I don't really know what else I left out, but that's pretty much it. We're trying to be consistent with these videos, but like I said, we are still adjusting and trying to find some kind of normalcy, which I definitely would say is a lot better. Oh, another thing is that we have visitors. Now, we have visitors. The day we stepped into the house was the day we had our first visitor. And honestly, I loved having all of my family and seeing everybody, but I would not suggest having visitors at your home the same day that you start. You may want to wait another day or a week. I think if I could do it all over, I'll probably wait a week before I have visitors come over and stay at the house, only because I think it's important for, you know, you, your spouse, and the baby. It's important for you guys to establish, okay, what does life look like in our new home by ourselves first before we incorporate other people. So I think that was kind of difficult for me, especially since I'm like introvert. So my home is like my safe place, and it's just where I get to be me. It's just like my private place. So not having that privacy as soon as I became a parent was kind of hard for me too after the fact. But it wasn't hard having the company or anything and the help. It was just more so I wanted to establish my place before I invited other people over. But I think it's fine now, and week 3, week 4, I'm establishing that, so it's all good. Yeah. I can't really think about anything else, but if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below, and we hope to see you guys next week. We love you guys. Thank you so much. And for some reason, if you guys haven't noticed, our birth story got deleted, so that has to be uploaded again. I'm very upset about that, but what are you talking about? I'm very upset about that, but we're trying to upload that as well. So if you see 2 videos posted today, it's because the birth story got deleted, or whenever this gets uploaded. I don't know. But anyway, thank you guys for watching, and this is Miss River Lee. Say hi. Say hi to your YouTube family. Say hi. I don't know, she's like looking at something else. Anyway, thank you guys once again for watching, and let us know what else you would like to see from us. We are just looking forward to getting back into the groove of things, but we thank you guys for your patience and everything. So hasta luego. Bye.